We'll start now. Good evening, everyone. Today, we'll be having with us CA Upmanyu Manjrekar, who has cleared CA final in May 2019 itself. That is, he has cleared CA final very much recently and will be able to guide you in much more better manner. Uh, and he has taken national taxation as his elective subject in CA final, and currently also he is working in the same field. So it was regarding Upmanyu. If you are not aware about me, you can. I have cleared CA final in November 2015 attempt. Thereafter, I have taken this DIIT course by ICAI, and I can tell you, at my time, I was not having this international taxation subject during CA final. That is why I was supposed to take DIIT post my CA clearance. Now you have this opportunity at the time of CA final itself, and you should definitely grab it. So we'll now start discussion with Upmanyu. Upmanyu, you can unmute yourself. And so,
Yes, yes.
so first question that we have for you is, uh, please tell us the reason why you opted for international taxation and CA final.
So first of all, just a brief.
Right, please.
So yeah, so just a brief. I first of all like to thank Jatin for giving me this chance. And yep.
We are also
So
thankful to you,
going on.
Upmanyu, to joining us, because you will be guiding the CAs. It's not me today who will be guiding CA students. It will be you who will be guiding, because you have done it practically. At my time, there was no international taxation as a subject. I did it in DIIT, but
Okay.
you have done it practically and you'll be able to guide them. So please continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why I opted for international tax, there were mainly two reasons. So at that time, the new course was very new. So we were actually a little bit confused as to which elective to go for. So first reason why I opted for international tax, a very practical reason, is the overlapping of the syllabus between direct tax and international taxation. So as you know, direct tax also has 30 marks of international taxation exclusively devoted to international tax, and it's very important to grab those 30 marks also. Yeah, in addition to having this entire paper, grabbing those 30 marks would obviously be an advantage. And another practical reason was that the direct tax paper comes immediately the next day after the international tax paper. So you don't really need to go through the entire syllabus in detail again. I don't need to glance through every provision of international tax like transfer pricing, non-resident tax. I don't need to go through everything in detail if I have studied very well for paper 6. Like it will be fresh in my memory and it will remain till that time. That was one of the reason. But but irrespective of that, still, if you are able to manage your studies in such a way that on the day of the direct tax paper, you can have a very quick glance through the international tax syllabus, like just have a brief, like short notes, so that the concepts get refreshed very fast, because your dynamic memory is very important on the day of the exam. Like you need to have those, like you need to have just a glance over it so that it strikes you in the exam. So that is what it is from a practical perspective. Like people say that an elective should be such that वो दोनों साइड से चलना चाहिए, करियर के पॉइंट से भी और प्रैक्टिकल साइड से. So this is from the practical point of view. Now moving on to probably a career oriented view or an interest oriented view, is that I liked direct taxes even at IPCC level, and it was really fun reading direct tax at IPCC level, like going through all the case scenarios, analyzing various sections, provisos, explanations. So it was but natural that I was going to like international tax also, as it is built along the same lines. Obviously, topics and everything is different, but it is built with the same structure. Like you need to have a good analytical ability to correlate stuff. So so yeah, that is one reason why I opted, and naturally I was inclined towards a tax career. So yeah, that was the career and interest oriented part, and practical oriented part I already explained earlier.
Great. So in a nutshell, you have informed us that there is a overlapping syllabus with paper of direct tax, which comes just after the international taxation paper. So that plays a good role for preparation for direct tax as well. So it helps during exam times as well. Further, if the students are having interest in income tax, they've already studied income tax in IPCC. If they were having interests at that time, so they'll definitely love this subject. And you have told one should, before taking, one should definitely glance at the module. They'll be able to appreciate what kind of topics there are. And this were the summarized thing which you have told. So that's a good analysis from your part, which others can take benefit of. So CA students who are having interest in income tax should just go through the topics under international taxation. They will definitely love it. And further, it opens up your analytical mind. That also you pointed out during our discussion. So just to inform CA students, CA examination has been theoretical earlier. But when it comes to your practical life, you have to see certain scenarios which you have not seen before. At that time, the theoretical knowledge will not work. It will be the analytical mind of yours which will help you. So apart from clearing exam, this will help you in practical life a lot. This is what Upmanyu has told us in summary. Now we'll move on to our next question, which is, Upmanyu, whether the topics covered in the paper 7, although you have covered this to certain extent, whether the topics covered in paper 7, that is income tax, helps to certain extent for preparation of international taxation. You have told us that there is strategical advantage of taking international taxation. But if a person has studied income tax, that is paper 7, can it help him in paper 6 as well?
See, so agreed that I did tell that the topics are common and everything. But then again, I would like to be very clear about this very specific point that the approach for the two papers is absolutely different. Like in direct tax, the topics, yeah, they do remain common, but there are 2-3 different topics like Black Money Act, double taxation avoidance agreements, which are not covered in your direct tax paper. But the thing is, the approach is very different. Like if I have to go by my time, paper 7, the questions in international taxation very direct, very computational. Transfer pricing, they just told us compute the ALP. Whereas in a scenario of paper 6, they will ask you in a very analytical way. They won't tell you directly that this is a related party. You will have to determine yourself that it's a related party and apply the transfer pricing principles. So in a nutshell, what I'd like to say is that yes, there are topics which are common, agreed, but then the approach is very different. Keep your concepts crystal clear while studying income tax, because because a little bit of rote learning may help you in paper 7, but and that also very little, but that's not going to help you in paper 6 in any manner, because direct questions in paper 6 are hardly 10% of the paper. It's entirely meant to be an application based paper. That's why it's open book. That's why they have told you can take anything to the exam that you want. They want to test you on your application ability. That's very clear. And apart from that, regarding the two topics which are not common, that is the double taxation avoidance agreements and the Black Money Act, in those two chapters you can take the approach that I'll just read it from the module, and then once you have read it from the module, just think about the various analytical scenarios in that. Don't try to learn those chapters. Whereas in income tax, the approach is different. As you all know, we have to remember it properly, like all the sections like assessment procedure, appeals and revisions. You have to probably remember all this.
Great. So you told that topics are to certain extent similar, but and even the both subjects support each other, but type of question are different. Mind application differs. So definitely one cannot say if they're prepared for paper 7, they can simply go through paper 6, or if they are prepared for paper 6, they can simply go for 30 marks of paper 7. So although it is very much similar, there is a strategical benefit to CA students, but they have to ensure that they study both the subjects properly as per the manner in which it comes in exam. That is the important thing for CA students. They should not think it is very much similar, so we'll opt for this exam and we'll clear it out 30 marks in direct text as well. So this is the point of question for CA students. Many a times you hear that it is completely similar. So Upmanyu has pointed out, yes, it is similar, but there are differences. You have to study both the subjects properly in a proper manner, in a systematic manner. Great. So you mentioned something regarding concepts. So my next question is regarding that itself. How important is to be conceptually clear? The question paper in for international taxation comes in a case study manner. So how important are the concepts? As you have already
So
highlighted that sections are not important, number of section number is not important. It is important for direct tax but not for international taxation. So how much importance is there for conceptual clarity?
So conceptual clarity is important in the sense that lot of stuff which might be told to you on the face in a direct tax paper might not be told to you in an international tax paper. You have to be aware, you have to have a proper grip on the Income Tax Act basically. You need to have a general awareness, like which sections of the income tax, like a range of sections. Like if I tell you chapter 4, that chapter 4 is entirely your heads of income, chapter 6 is your deductions, but inside that also you should have a fair idea. Like I know 28 section onwards till you have your 44, that is your PGBP. So you need to be, you need to have a basic idea that these range of sections pertain to PGBP. So if there is something related to PGBP, you can't remember exactly, but you need to be there. Like at May, I'll get it here. So that is one aspect of it. Conceptually clear, as in you know how to apply a provision. Like just like I gave the transfer pricing example, there might be an example even in non-resident taxation, where instead of directly asking you a question as to what is the tax rate for a non-resident in a particular case scenario, they will ask you to do an interlinking between the treaty and the act. So they might ask you a case scenario where something like a non-resident receives royalty. So you will have to analyze it from both the perspectives, from the perspective of the treaty as well and the act as well. As the fundamental basis of international tax is the act or treaty, whichever is more beneficial. So analysis from both the perspectives is important. Interlinking is extremely important. And yeah, basically conceptual clarity means that only, that you know what the section means and where it is often applied. And from the standpoint of exams, yeah, doing a sort little more extra, like probably reading a few rules might also help you.
So ratification will not work in this subject. That is one thing. You have to keep your concepts crystal clear. There can be interlinking. You must be aware how to interlink. You will be having your module with yourself, but you should be aware. You might not be aware about the exact section as Upmanyu told, but you should be aware that where in that module that topic will be. Upmanyu, you also told about judgments. Concepts
Yeah,
clarity
so
also come from judgments. You were
so what happened is in the paper before ours, they asked a question on secondment on the Centrica case law, if I'm not wrong, if my memory serves me right. So at that time, since I was in a very theoretical phase, I had no idea that Centrica is such an important judgment. That later I came to know that Centrica is actually very commonly used in international tax. Like it's a very common judgment. Many people are aware of its implications for secondment contracts. The thing is, at a student level, probably it's very difficult to know about all these judgments. So I can say that for a safe side, just do the past paper judgments which have come, like Centrica, or maybe there are very important like Linklaters, LLP, and very famous judgments. So just go through them once, like if possible. Like that is obviously a little bit of extra, but the thing is that might just give you that little bit of edge which is needed to get higher marks in international taxation. Another thing, my attempt, they had asked about 15 CA, 15 CB. Now 15 CA, 15 CB is not directly present in the act. Like they won't give you the limits of 15 CA, CB, which part to fill and everything. So for that purpose, you need to refer famous rules. Like the 15 CA, 15 CB rule is very famous. But then again, the problem is that at that point, I was in a theory mode. So probably these little tips might help you get the edge in international tax.
okay. So we'll move to our next question. Uh, this was regarding whether to opt, what kind of things you must be having while opting. But if once opt, there might be certain students who have already opted for international taxation, and others, if they opt for international taxation, they should be at least aware how much time they have to dedicate. Although that will differ from person to person. We just want your opinion, how your
Yes.
practical thing, but how many hours you dedicated for international taxation. in addition to income tax?
Yeah, so as Jatin mentioned, don't take my advice on blanket basis. It depends from person to person, and every person has his own comfort. Of CA finalists, you have to find your comfort zone and work in that. So going from my perspective, I made an integrated study plan for direct taxes and international taxation because the subjects are closely linked. There is an overlapping syllabus, so why not go for them together? That was my approach that time, and I was advised by few people to go for it together. That worked well for me. So yeah, so apart from, so in my very first reading of direct taxes and international tax, I took approximately 20 days because direct tax is a very lengthy subject. And along with that, international tax also, it was not just reading the module itself. I had to even go through the past papers, case studies, and the mock test papers and everything. Because international tax, if you read the module, you do get a perspective, agreed. But then to apply that, you need a little bit of practice. And that practice comes from your papers and your mock test papers and everything, where you will get that real practice of how you will be in that exams. If I have to talk exclusively about the international tax part, I must have taken around like 7 to 8 days probably to do exclusive international tax part. Balance part can be considered as direct taxes part, pure direct taxes. So yeah, that was it for my income tax. So probably what your approach should be is probably you can take a lot of time in the first reading because the first reading is important for your conceptual clarity. But then as you go for your second or third reading, your ultimate objective should be to reduce your time and to bring it down to such a manner that you can revise on the last day, because the ultimate purpose is to have a proper last day revision plan also in place. Agreed, the previous study matters, but you should have a robust last day plan also in place for both the subjects.
Right. So you have told us that you have studied direct tax and then international taxation together, and to certain extent that too that definitely makes a sense, because at the end as well, during the time of exams, CA students have to study these two subjects together. First they have to study during exam. First they have to study international taxation, and thereafter direct tax, so they can make a proper kind of plan how to do last day revision as well. And you also told us that first reading, it took around 7 days, and another
Yeah.
important thing that one has to revise again and again. How many revisions you did for international taxation exactly?
International tax, I had a lot of revisions actually. You can say around 2 to 3 revisions at least. I don't exactly remember, but yeah, 3 revisions are necessary for direct tax and international taxation. Reason being, voluminous subject, lot of provisions, interlinking. Like I can't even describe that many sections are actually interlinked in the Income Tax Act. Like at that point, when I was a student, I knew the interlinking. Like as I grew out practically, I knew that there are a lot more interlinking. But at a student level, also the basic interlinking between the sections has to be known. Like interlink between section 5 and section 9 has to be known by a student also. So yeah, so you need to revise your direct taxes and your international tax a lot of times actually, so that it gets fit in your head and you know properly that this, like where are the sections and what does it pertain to, so that you can probably even write well in the legal language. Or if you're not going for writing in 100% legal language, you should be able to explain it very well.
Upani, we have one question. Is there benefit of open
Yeah,
book test such that we can do fewer revisions?
just a second. Okay, so so the last part I didn't get. What did you say? Like benefit of open book
Is
test
there benefit
as
of
you
open
can
book
do
test such that we can do fewer revisions? Since it is an open book test, so
fewer revisions. Okay, yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah. So there is nothing called fewer revisions for international tax. Reason being, firstly, it is a part of direct tax. So don't be under the impression that it is an open book test. First of all, you have to learn the section of income of international tax. See, it is open book because it's application based, and there you need time to apply yourself. That's why they have given you more time. That's why they've given you the book there. It is not that I don't have to learn international tax. For future CA final students who are opting for international tax, it's very important that you know the section. You know the section by heart. Like not by heart as in you know what the section is. It's not, you cannot go with the approach that I have read it. You need to learn it like you're learning your income tax. Okay. Transfer pricing, non-resident taxation, this should be at your fingertips and you should know the section. See, I would personally not advise you to go for anything like fewer revisions or anything, because only if you are going to treat this paper at par with other papers is the paper going to respect you.
True.
See, the ultimate, see, you need to give equal importance to each paper. Unless you keep all papers on par, it's not like you won't score well in this subject. Like nobody has succeeded in CA final by giving unequal importance to each subject. Like Jatin as a ranker will also be testament to the fact that you need to give equal importance to all subjects.
Completely
So
agree.
don't be under the impression that and another peril that comes with the open book is having too much of time on hand and having access to too many books. So like agreed that you have to probably take like income tax act should be there with you, that much part is there, and your probably whatever material you're referring to. But then don't carry so much material with you also that you're confused and looking at multiple places. Have concise material. Obviously bare act is a must, but have your concise material with you and make sure that you know where everything is located either in your module or in the act. So the question is that there is no benefit as such of fewer revisions because you have the direct tax thing with you. So you need to learn international taxation also, like you are learning direct tax. Revise it as many times as you're revising your other subjects.
True. I also want to just add on a few things on this question. So it is an open book test. What exactly it means? During our practical life as well, what we do as working in a MNC, what I have to do? I get a case. I get a certain issue. I have to search on Google. I'm having Google. You'll not be having Google. I have to search on Google. I have to go through Income Tax Act. I have to go through various case studies. So it is in the similar manner, but thing is you have to have your basics clear. To get your basics clear, you have to revise things. To have your concepts clear, you have to revise things. And as Upmanyu rightly mentioned, you have to give each and every subject equal amount of importance. And as he told about me, along with being a ranker, I'll just tell you one more thing. I scored 247 in group 1 and 248 in group 2. It was not like I scored very good marks in one of a kind of subject. It was kind of mix. So you have to give importance to all the subjects. During my attempt, result was only 6%, 5.75%. So that is why I rank at 495 marks as well. So Manu, this moves to our next question. Since you opted for international taxation and you told you are working in the same field currently, was it useful during the interview time? After clearing CA, when
Yeah,
you went for interview, how were the reaction of interviewers when they saw? Definitely, they saw it during the time of your resume reading itself, but at the time of interview also, you must
yeah,
have a certain idea.
yeah. So often firms are looking for CA freshers post every result. That does happen still. Like although right now situation I cannot comment. Right now is an extraordinary situation. So let's
True,
forget that. Let's think about a normal market. So
because
CA
most of the
freshers will
students
always
will
be
be
there.
getting
Like after,
just to add, most of the CA final students currently
yeah,
exam in May 2021, and we are very much hopeful things will be
yeah,
get normalized by then.
yeah,
Right. So
yeah.
you can talk about
So
normal scenarios.
yeah. So yeah, every attempt after the result comes, the top firms are always looking for people. They are looking for CA freshers. They do have a cycle in which they do look for CA freshers. So first of all, part one is resume shortlisting in an interview process. So resume shortlisting, your resume will get shortlisted because you have studied international tax. Even
Correct.
the people at the firm side are aware what is the syllabus and everything. So they know that DTAA concepts, you know transfer pricing. Yeah, you're welcome in international tax for an interview. That's the first stage. Now, what happens in the market is that often there are people with experience, people with not with experience, based on your articleship, where you have done your articleship. So at times in a tier one firm like a big four or a huge MNC, you may have problems getting in at a fresher level if you are not experienced in international tax. That is the ground reality. You will have a little bit of problem there, although there also you can corrupt the interview based on theoretical knowledge. Nothing like it. If they love you based on your theoretical concepts, they will take you there also. But ground reality, sometimes you are beaten by candidates who have an exposure in that field already. So yeah, that happens at the first level. Tier 2 firms will always be ready to take you, and it is always a good option to start your career in a Tier 2 firm, get the experience, and then move on to a Tier 1 firm or a big consulting or a big MNC as your preference is. So yeah, it is beneficial during the interview time because you will have a greater hold over what the interviewer is asking, and the interviewers go for a broad base of topics, like they go for Black Money Act also. At times in one of the interviews I was asked about Black Money Act also. They go for DTAA surely, they go for double taxation relief, and non-resident taxation is asked very frequently in interview. And secondly, regarding, you will be obviously scoring much more points over an old course student any day, because an old course student does not have this option anymore of international taxation. So if you are opting for an international tax field or even the direct tax field for that matter, you will have a significant advantage over other candidates. The fact whether you will land a job or not will be dependent on market conditions as well as the other competing candidates and their experience.
Great. So to summarize, you told there will be added advantage over the old course student like me, or means I'm not, I cleared for 2015. Just jokingly, I added. But those who are currently opting for old course student, or even a new regime, if they have not opted for international taxation. So even if you are
Yes.
opting, you are willing to go to international taxation, or initially you are going for the only income tax field, that is domestic tax compliances, you will be having advantage. If you are not having articleship experience, still tier 2 firms will be welcoming you. At resume stage, CA student, those who have cleared CA with international taxation subject, their resumes will not be cancelled. They will be selected at resume stage. And if they are having articleship experience, Big Four and MNCs, they'll be welcomed. Otherwise, gradually they can move to that. You have informed. Thanks. With that, we'll move to our last question. Uh, just brief us how good is the scope in the field of international taxation. They have to study a subject which is similar but having needs different kind of preparation. They will be getting certain opportunity in job while getting the job, you have informed. But how good is the scope?
So as we all know, it's a globalized market now. Everyone is trading with everyone. There are few things that might happen, like I don't know, like trade sanctions and everything. So apart from that, everyone is trading with everyone. There is a globalized economy, lot of cross-border trade. So taxation is a consequence of trade. Like every time there is trade, there are going to be taxes. So yeah, a lot of cross-border taxes then, and lot of application of double taxation avoidance agreements, the domestic tax laws interacting between various, a lot of stuff is going on in the international tax arena. There is there is multilateral instrument development. There is OECD G20 countries developing their BEPS project, which is already done. Now that's being implemented via the MLI. So a lot of stuff is going on in that field. Lot of advisory scope. Lot of demand for international tax specialists. People who have knowledge of those niche sections, but they have the complete knowledge of those niche sections. So to summarize, a lot of demand for international tax professionals due to the shrinking of the borders between nations. Like the world has become one huge global marketplace. And yeah, apart from that, yes, the big fours will always be demanding international tax professionals. And apart from that, even huge MNCs are now preferring to have a lot of stuff done in-house. So even they will be demanding. And yeah, many more firms are also trying to take up this practice of international taxation, considering it's a growing area.
Great. Uh, Vipul, you have asked, will MLI be a part of syllabus for May 2021? We'll just check that up and we'll come back in the group see whether it is applicable from May 2021 or not. And Upman, just one more thing. Were you having experience during the articleship of international taxation?
So I had experience in individual tax filings only. I didn't have experience in corporate tax filings or corporate international tax as they term it. That is the transfer pricing part and the DTAA. I didn't have experience. I had majority experience in individual taxation during my articleship. Consequence of which I got into my first job at expatriate taxation, that is international taxation of individuals. and now I'll be moving on to corporate tax and M&A tax very soon. So yeah, ultimately it might be a little bit of a ladder for you. Like you might have to take up something in order to get experience so that you can reach to corporate international tax. But then yeah, the journey and the learning is 100% worth it. Like people are saying that a little like international tax is a little bit on the tougher side because it involves a lot of application of mind. But 100% hands down the most interesting subject that I studied in my entire CA final journey. And yeah, I used to even look forward to studying it at times. Like as a break, also I used to probably look forward to going through a little bit of international tax.
Great. All the best for your future endeavors, Upmanyu. There is a
Yeah,
question.
thanks.
Bennett has asked, I'm a second year articleship, so can we do industrial training in the field of international taxation? Uh, See, if you'll be doing industrial training in a company, they will be giving different works as well. In respect to international taxation, from industrial training perspective, you might be getting certain works related to 15 CACB, because otherwise it relates to very complex transaction. During industrial training, you might not be getting much experience, but if you are interested, you can move to industrial training if you're not getting any experience during articleship. But if you are in articleship in industrial training, then definitely that experience will be much better than industrial training. Because as Upmanyu told you, I'll provide the summary of the scope which Upmanyu told. He told there is going to be good increase in the scope of international taxation. Thereafter, he has told advisory will never be affected by automation. So this also answers your question. If you want to do industrial training during in the field of international taxation, you might not be getting much of advisory role. So from international taxation perspective, it might not be that much great, but definitely certain experience of income tax also works for landing you a job in international taxation post CA. So yet, yes, it might be beneficial, but not completely. Depends upon the company in which you join the industrial training. Hemang has asked, a person having somewhat experience during articleship but won't opt for international taxation as elective. Will it do an interview for international tax job? Yes, Upmanyu. If a person is having certain experience, but his
Yeah.
resume shows he has not opted for international taxation, will it be good in the views of, we cannot talk from interviewer's perspective as well, but
Yeah.
to certain extent, from my opinion, it will be like this person was having experience, but still has not opted for international taxation subject.
Yeah.
Things will come up in his mind that he was not willing to do this subject. He was not good at analytical mind for this subject. That is why he has not opted. What is your view?
Yeah, similar to that, I've seen quite a few people do this actually. One of my like few colleagues of mine, they were having experience in international tax, but they surprisingly didn't opt for the subject. So then again, now that was a different thing entirely, their perspective, field shift or whatever. But then if you're giving an interview in international tax have after having international tax exposure and then not taking international tax as an elective, like this is a very contradictory situation, as Jatin rightly mentioned. First question that the interviewer is going to ask you, according to me, is why not international tax as the elective subject? If you are very confident of your ability and you are telling that you have exposure also, like little bit of exposure, okay, you can obviously take it to the next level by studying well. So why did you not opt for it? That's going to be naturally going to be a very the
The
first
first
question.
question, right?
Again, now what happens in the interview, what is the end result of the interview is dependent on a lot of external factors again. So yeah, my advice would be, if you are in such a situation, then like think carefully, like why are you not opting for international taxation then?
Right. That will be the first question for you. Upman, next question is, please suggest ways to enhance the knowledge in the field of international taxation in a logical manner. In my view, reading case study is one of the thing, because there you'll be able to see how the things have been interlinked by the SSC, by the department. You'll get to know how things work in international taxation. As per me, one thing is reading case studies, reading case laws. What is your opinion, Upanyu? To enhance
So the thing
knowledge
is,
in
Jatin,
a logical manner.
So yeah, Jatin, you and me as professionals know how important case laws are. The thing,
Right.
as I have experienced at a student level, is that you're not exposed to that many case laws in your real life. Like you and me will be dealing with issues and we will be looking at case laws, supporting case laws, against case laws. So then what I would advise the students of international taxes, yes, you have to go through judgments, no doubt, but then go in a logical manner such that you first read your module in any case,
True.
because that is like the base, like that is ICAR material. You have to go through that, and 99% you will be carrying that in your exam also. So go through ICAR material. Then if you're doing classes, then you will have some classes notes or some shortcuts to remember or something like that. Carry that also. Bare Act is a must with you. Now what happens for that extra bit to develop knowledge is, as I had earlier said also, probably do a few rules, very famous rules like the 15 CACB rule, and go through judgments which are like very famous. Like you might like probably talk to a few people, talk to a few professionals, you will come to know which are the famous judgments. One of permanent establishment, there is the judgment of Formula One. I think that is nowadays covered even in the module. So yeah, so that way you can probably make a listing of famous case laws and go through it in case they are asked. Sometimes what happens is that an international tax paper is often developed by a person who has practical experience in the field. So that way you can probably hedge yourself against coming up against a very adverse question by going through various famous case laws that people are using in practice. That is one way. Reading the module for sure, and probably having an index of where what is in the module is also very important from an exam perspective. So to develop your knowledge, to summarize and go in a logical step, if you have to approach international taxation, read the module first, have a general awareness of the direct tax subject and the interlinks with international taxation, go through famous rules like 15 CACP, and go through a host of judgments like probably 10 or 15 at most. Just know what happened in the case and what was the ultimate result of the case. Don't go through ekdam detail mein facts. Like reading is good, yeah. For reading you can do to think how the arguments were developed by both the SSC and the department. But ultimately, what will matter in the exam is the conclusion that came out of the judgment. So yeah, this is the only way by which you can hedge yourself against all possible risks coming in the exam. But rest assured, even a reading of the module and a good enough hold over the Income Tax Act should be enough to get you through the exam at least.
Great. The next question was, can a CA work in advisory field and file form 3? This is not from exam perspective. I'll skip this question.
Okay.
I'll skip
Yeah.
this question. So any further question anyone has? In the meanwhile, before I'll get the question, in the meanwhile, I'll just announce one more thing. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we'll be having CA Anand Valera, who has cleared CA final in November 2019 attempt. That is very much recently, before this COVID-19 pandemic also came out. So you'll get to know how was his experience. And further, as per information which I have, he was not having any experience of international taxation during his articleship. Still, he opted for international taxation. What were his challenges? How he worked them out? How he landed a job post clearing CA? We'll be discussing tomorrow with CA Anand Valera at 5 p.m. I'll be providing the link in the group, JTA's student section group. If you have not joined, you can ask me, you can chat, you can send the message in chat. I'll provide you the link. So there are few questions it appears. People say it has become difficult. What's your view for it? I'm talking about paper. Paper, Panu, Hemang is saying there are certain views that international taxation subject
Yeah.
exam is very difficult. How was your
Yeah.
experience to it?
So yeah, I will be honest, the paper was not difficult, it was very lengthy. It was difficult in the sense you needed to have a very good awareness of the act, where what was, and one two very tricky question that is natural in a CA final paper. Like I won't be saying that that won't happen. Like in every paper, there will be a few curveballs that you have to go through in order to clear the paper. But yes, there was a significant increase in the difficulty. But I would say that is because the new course is now settling down. It's because the first two attempts, that May 18 and November 18, were very new, and the students didn't have enough time to prepare for that. So ICI may have probably given a leeway and given an easier paper probably. But then as the new course is developing and everything is happening, it is going to be a little bit more challenging. It is involving your application of mind surely. Now, I'm not here to advise you whether to take international tax or not. That is entirely your prerogative. I'm proceeding on the assumption that you have taken international tax. So my ultimate conclusion would be yes, the questions are becoming 100% application oriented now, which was always the ultimate purpose of an open book paper. So don't judge it based on how the difficulty is increasing. It's like it is going to be that way only. Like the paper 6 and all its various options are supposed to come in that way only. It's just that international taxation field is a little more developed now. And yeah, and you can find various examples even in other subjects where the paper came difficult for a particular attempt or was developed. It really depends on who developed the paper and what got selected and ultimately many other factors. So you can't blanketly say that the difficulty was very high or is increasing. And it's even about as various factors as we mentioned, little bit knowing what the rules are, knowing judgments and everything. So yeah, if you have the interest and you have a little bit of hold over direct tax, you will be able to manage.
So in a nutshell, if I'll say, if you plan it properly, you study it properly, you are aware about the conceptual clarity, it might be difficult for others, but you might be able to crack it, because exam is difficult for some, for others it might be very much easy. And further, there is a saying, there is no gain without a pain. So even if this subject is difficult, if you have interest in this subject, if you want to move further in this subject, in this field, then you should opt for this subject. Otherwise, you are definitely going to face a question why you have not opted for international taxation in CA final, and you are coming for the vacancy of international taxation now.
Yes.
Next few questions are were regarding the this thing only. Praveen, is jobs available in corporates for transfer pricing? Praveen, currently the situation is bad. There might not be certain jobs, but
Yeah.
yes, definitely there are jobs, because I'm not aware about the current currently the exam has been postponed. But Anand Valera, who will be joining us tomorrow, has cleared CA final in November 2019 attempt. So he has got the job post January itself. So things are not that much bad, I can say, for international taxation. And Upmanyu, I believe we have also shifted the job recently. Can you tell us?
Yeah, yeah.
There is a scope, it means.
Yeah, there is a scope, I will agree, but it's a little difficult. Yes, right now, considering the
Even
situation,
if
so it is
right, even if
very,
the situation is
very,
very much
very,
bad, still there are jobs available to
yeah,
certain.
yeah, yeah. That is right. You need to be able to seek the right job at the right time. You need to be aware, and if you are a job seeker, you have to be even more alert at this time. You have to be active and you have to be proactive basically if you are a job seeker during these times. Otherwise, in a normal scenario, transfer pricing field though has many jobs, like probably corporate taxation, which is in Big Four, that is the application of DTAAs exclusively, has lesser vacancies than transfer pricing oftenly, because many people are like transfer pricing always has demand from what I have seen. Although probably last 1 2 years a little bit of slump is there entirely in the job market, and right now situation has gone from bad to probably worse. But then once probably this entire thing recovers, there are going to be ample opportunities. And one thing I'd like to say is if a professional is talented, there's going to be no shortage of demand for him. If you have good knowledge, there's going to be no one who's going to say no to you, unless there is an extreme situation at their end and they didn't really need a resource or something like that. But the thing is, if you are talented, if you have the knowledge, the right job is always going to be there for you. And in the present scenario, I would advise little bit of patience right now, considering what is going on in the entire world. Just keep a little bit of patience. I'm sure jobs will come up in a certain period of time.
So definitely by the time you will be clearing out, things should be better, and we think shoulds will be better. So definitely at that time, vacancies will definitely be there. Currently also vacancies are there. At that time, so that definitely it will be there. And further to add, apart from transfer pricing, in international taxation field, that is regarding DTAA analysis, etc., MLI has been applicable currently for 28 jurisdictions from withholding tax perspective. Going forward, this will increase from next year. So companies will might require extra workforce. Big Fours might require extra CAs in the international taxation field. So vacancy is going to increase only. Upman, your next question is it possible to quote case laws in exam?
So case laws, I did mention that you go through a few famous judgments, but that is like you can quote no doubt, but it will be like very rare, like probably 5 to 10 marks at most will come from a case law. So remember, that's not going to be the key focus. That is something you're going to do over and above so that you have the edge in international taxation. That's all. So yeah, quoting a case law, no doubt, the best thing you can do. But quoting a wrong case law is probably the worst thing you can do. That gives a horrible impression in the mind of the examiner that you are quoting a wrong case law. Wrong case law can not only mean the wrong name of the case law, even the wrong book name and the wrong page number, that is the ITR number. If you're quoting something, please quote it 100% correctly. Don't like be 200% sure that you're quoting that what you're quoting is correct. So in my opinion, know the case law from the perspective of understanding the case law, not that you should know versus whom and what ITR. Just know the fundamental behind the case law. That is going to be very important.
Correct. And the next question is, can question be asked from transfer pricing and international tax elective? I think so. You have already answered this. You told in your attempt there was some question from transfer pricing, right? So transfer
I
pricing.
think she's asking.
Anubhav has
I think
asked.
it's asked transfer pricing audit. I think.
Okay, right. Transfer pricing audit.
Transfer. So yeah, that will entirely depend on which attempt you are and what is there in the module. So transfer pricing audit is probably, yes, it is a like an integrated part of international tax. Also does come a little bit in international tax, but little bit more unlikely on the side, because as I told, it's just application of the concepts. Like when you probably later see your paper, like now that I see my very own paper, it was like application of, like it was just plain application, the entire paper. Agreed, it was very lengthy also, but it was plain application and one had to just keep calm and read properly. That's all that we had to do in the paper. So don't think of very off subjects like transfer pricing audit before covering your entire main syllabus. Like if you have extra time at the end and you feel that you can cover something like this, then do cover, but then not advisable from me, because I would rather see you focusing on the main sections like non-resident taxation, DTAA, and the main transfer pricing, that is the ALP computation by the various methods, and the 94B calculation that is often asked, asked very often, because it's a consequence of a BEPS action plan. So yeah, so that way, such off topics just leave it for the end. That too, if you want to do. From my perspective, I would say just cover the module and its application very thoroughly, and those extra few pointers for the edge.
True. This is just an advice. Just to add, this is just an advice. In exam, things can come, but he has told from logical point of view, since it's an analytical paper, this kind of things might not come. But yes, you cannot say with surety for ICI. Next, Praveen. Praveen, this is not grooming section, personality development series. We'll think about this later if we'll be doing this. Any other question? So I think so. There are no other questions. So we'll do this now. Thank you very much, Upmanyu.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so much, Jatin.
We'll be able to help CA students. If further tomorrow also I'll be having session, I'll be having such kind of series of session on each on every weekend. I have certain CAs in my connection with whom I'll be discussing these things. You can bring in your doubts, other doubts as well. You can have different kind of perspective as well. How difficulty one face, it cannot be judged from one person. It varies. So you'll be getting a sample of opinions from different persons. So I'll close this now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Upmanyu, for giving us your time.
Yeah. Thank you, Jatin.
So I'll close the session now.